Hello all and welcome. This is Colette with Witch Ways, and I'm here today to talk about my 5 favorite magical herbs for late summer and early spring use. I want to start with one of my personal favorites, and that is thyme. It's a low-growing perennial that likes full sun. And there's a lot of different flavors and colors. There's lemon, there's lime, there's cinnamon, there's camphor, and there's even creeping woolly thyme, which was always a personal favorite of my cats because it makes a very low mat that is soft to lay on. You can use it in a lot of different ways. The thyme I'm talking about today is the plain old ordinary garden thyme that you can buy at the grocery store for seasoning your food, and that's Thymus vulgaris. And it was used in herb pillows to help ward off nightmares. It was also used as a tea or a cordial, which is simply brandy, soaking the herbs in brandy and then adding some sugar or honey to it. And that cordial was used to help fortify the spirit, to give courage. It was often burned in the house or around a person to clear negative energy off. It was used as a wash in sick rooms to get rid of illness. And I find that a slightly more practical way of doing that is to make a tea and to use that as a spritz rather than trying to wash the whole room. But there is definitely something about washing a whole room that's very special, or at least warding your windows with it, which is really powerful as well. During World War I, a constituent of thyme, thymol, one of the essential oils in the plant, was used in antiseptic dressings, and thyme medicinally has been shown in laboratory studies to have antiviral effects, and it's commonly used in old formulas for cough medicines, for clearing out the lungs, and for cold and flu remedies. The personal way that I work magically with it is I feel that it can shift your sense of time and shift the reality of time. So for example, in dealing with something that's going on for a while or seems like it is, you can take time to help recover faster. The next herb that I want to talk about is lady's mantle, and it is named after the Virgin Mary. It's her mantle, although in earlier times it was associated with goddesses of love and beauty. And I find it to be a very beautiful plant. It's a fan-shaped, slightly cupped with scalloped edges leaf that holds a nice, perfect bead of water in the center if there's any moisture in the air at all. And in fact, the part you use is generally the leaves, although the root has occasionally been used. And it's used in spells for attractiveness and love and desire. And I used it in the Beltane charm I made a couple of weeks back. And it's also really useful for sealing and setting any particular spell that you might be working, and it increases the efficacy of it. It also can be dried and the leaf burned in incenses to help people move over a large loss. And one that's just starting to bloom where I am is Borage, Borago officinalis, and the part that you use is the flowers. And the old saying is borage for courage. It's one of those plants that the physicality of it and what it does physically when you take it internally is mostly vibrational and magical, and that translates very well to things like magical blends and also for flower essences. It's been used. It does have a lot of physical properties in the leaves, but one of the things about that family of plants is they contain these things called pyrrolizidine alkaloids. And there's a lot of studies showing that those chemicals in some forms, in some circumstances, actually cause damage to the liver. So even though people have used it for a long time historically, I don't really recommend using the leaves internally anymore. Those chemicals are present in the flowers, but for magic, you only use a few and in very small amounts. And you don't even have to take it internally if you don't want to. So borage gives inner strength and courage, as I said. It also promotes joy. It can be used in baths and burned as an incense. There's a very particular way to pick the flowers. So you want to go outside and pick your flowers and grasp them firmly. And if you, looking at the back there, you can see that there are 5 hairy sepals, and at the front there's a little forked bill. So what you want to do is grasp those sepals on the back between your 2 fingers, and then grasp that little bill with your front fingers and pull it off gently. Borage is also traditionally used in salads. I sometimes have put it in Maybole or Maywine recipes, just floated a couple flowers on the top. It also goes really nicely with really subtle flavored things. Sometimes I'll put 1 or 2 on a cucumber and cream cheese spread on crackers or on bread. A slightly less common plant that you would be likely to be able to use if you were a gardener is the plant Agrimony. And I'll put Latin names down below in the description because a lot of these plants are known by many different folk names, and the way to really tell if you're getting the right herb is by looking at the tag that has the Latin name on it. So I'll put those Latin names down below in the comments. So Agrimony, the part that you use is the leaves, and I like, again, using those before they flower or go to seed. They can be a little invasive, not by spreading by roots, so it's pretty easy to keep that from happening. Basically what happens is the seeds spread very vigorously, and the seeds are large on big flower stalks, so it's really easy to just cut those down right after the plant goes to flower so that they don't become invasive. Mine is pretty invasive in my yard, but it hasn't really spread beyond my yard, interestingly enough. And I like harvesting the leaves. I typically take bundles of the leaves in amounts of 3 to 5 for protection from bad thoughts, energy that's flowing at me. It's traditionally been used to repel curses. It's a great repeller, like a mirror. It just sends it away from you. It also is protective, grown in your yard, and it's one of my standard herbs that I use in my summer solstice protection bundle that I'll be talking about in a few weeks. Dried, it can be burned as incense for protection, or used in a sachet carried for protection, or put in the corners of a house for protection. And then my final favorite herb for this time of year is called Lovage, and I love it. It's a large plant that grows about 3 feet high. It will take a little bit of shade, which is always nice for an herb to have, because we have a lot of shade if we live in urban areas, and you use the leaves and the young stalks. It's a member of the celery family, and I use it a lot as a food plant, but secondarily as a magical plant. It has both uses. So it has a taste of celery with kind of a citrusy, grapefruity flavor to it as well, and then also a slightly bitter taste, but not strongly bitter. It's very pleasant. It's excellent with strong flavored fish like salmon or tuna in sandwiches or salads. And magically, Lovage was used in hot baths to promote desire and attractiveness. And the root was also used in this way historically. I haven't ever tried using the root because I don't want to dig mine up. I don't have a lot of it. Even though it's a big plant. And it was used in baths in preparation for what is called the Great Rite, which is a form of sacred sex where people engaged in the sexual act for a larger purpose, usually something like blessing the land or blessing the fields. Some of the common names of lovage are loveroot and loverod. The stalk was also candied as a delicacy. And I have read, but I've never tried this. Let me know if you try it and it works. Put that in the comments down below. I've read that you can take it as a tea before sleeping, and it helps give you psychic dreams. If you have any questions, or I would actually really love to hear your 5 favorite plants for this time of the year, please put that in the description. And I would appreciate if you would like and subscribe. Thank you and be well.